organs of the state, including the courts, the military, and of course in Islamabad you have the seat of governance. So this is very big, isn't it, Brahma Chileni? From an escalation point of view, you're right to say this is dramatic escalation by India. What do you think is going to be the response, General Pandey? I mean, a capital city. Now, if you want to go, will Pakistan go and ramp it up? Will they come deeper in? What's going to happen?
So, we are handing options for the Pakistani system establishment to think over what they are going to do.
Okay.
There's a very copybook, very, I think this I have never seen or heard in any of the wars which is or conflicts which have come about where the escalating ladder is under control. Right? And you just see the nuanced difference between each and every strike which is happening. Compliments to the leadership which is coordinating all this, that you first get hit in Pahalgam, you respond to a terrorist, this thing, you tell the world, we are responsible, check the rogue guy.
And we're giving him plenty of time.
Plenty of time. He comes back with something, we go back again, a little level up, that yes, we don't want this to happen. You try to hit our military system, and I think the previous speaker said very clearly, once you cross the IB and LC and try and hit across, even if we have brought down your systems, that is still an act of aggression. And therefore you go back and tell them that you can breach and hit.
So what is the thinking right now? Let me bring in Professor Chileni. What is the thought right now that's running through the Pakistani administration in Islamabad? That's the seat of power. It's been attacked. Now you have Lahore, the cultural capital really of Punjab province, the one that has the writ over all of Pakistan. Just put these things together and tell our viewers what it means. What do you think is going to be the response? Will it really scar the psyche now of the people of Pakistan?
I think you have answered your own question, Rahul, very well, because this is quite a psychological blow to the Pakistani elites, especially the military elites, and their puppet civilian government today, led by Shehbaz Sharif. It's important to know that in striking Lahore, India had an opening. After taking out the air defense system in Lahore, the field was open for India to launch strikes on Lahore. On Islamabad, we do not know whether India actually neutralized the air defense system protecting Islamabad. But we also don't know what India has hit in Lahore and Islamabad. Has India hit only military installations, facilities, or India has actually hit symbols of Pakistani state power? If military installations alone have been targeted, of course this will greatly rattle the already nervous Pakistani military generals who did not expect such a robust Indian response. They clearly miscalculated. They miscalculated because they thought that India would chicken out the way India chickened out after the Balakot airstrike led to a dramatic Pakistani response. This time they're getting back in kind, and getting back in kind, not just in kind, they're getting back in such a punitive way that now they must be realizing that they took on they took on a fight that they cannot really fight for too long.
Yes, General Saab.
Rahul, just understand one thing. There are only 4 important cities for them. Karachi, Islamabad, Rawalpindi and Lahore. There is nothing else. It's a slice of land. There is no strategic depth, we discussed in the afternoon. And with the breach in the AD system, one thing is proved to the elite, the military leadership, the population, that we will hit you wherever we want to. I'm sure there is a huddle which is going on and a competition which is happening or discussion which is happening by the Asim Munir-led rogue elements and also some other elements, that who will stall where? Where are you leading? I'm sure they must be reaching out like Nawaz Sharif did, dialing, while it's too early to say, right? But there is a time where they will have to start looking at which point they need to pull back, because it is clear signal to them that we are going to keep on escalating till the time your behavior doesn't change. Their behavior is not going to change. The strategic orientation will not change for not using terrorism as a state tool, as a state policy to use terror as a tool.
As a
That will not
yeah,
change.
exactly.
But the
That's not
fact
going
is
to
that
change.
the current system, current escalation ladder,
Yes.
they will have to start looking very, very critically that where we are going to stop and how we are going to stop.
So the off-ramp you're talking about, and also face saver, because now General Munir needs one, doesn't it, Group Captain? He needs a face saver. That's the one thing he needs. Now, we are not giving him that face saver. We gave him the opportunity to go off-ramp. We said after our first number of strikes that, look, we only target terror infrastructure. Don't take the next step. He thought, India ain't going to take this too far. And now we've reached Islamabad, Lahore. Of course, albeit we don't know. Maybe it was just an attack. Maybe it's all been thwarted. But clearly, the same sort of tension that has been ringing out in Indian cities, where your wife is, for example, in Jammu, is now gripping Islamabad and Lahore. And that says a lot.
So,
Rahul,
Yes.
give me a minute.
Yeah.
Give me a minute to explain the offensive part
Yes.
that we're doing.
Yes.
For the sake of viewers and for the sake of us who are sitting and discussing this.
Yeah.
See, there is an aspect in air war called selection and maintenance of aim. In our case, it was very, very clear that we selected an aim which was Lahore. We maintained that aim, and we did it, exactly as per the copybook style. We first took out the AD radars. We softened up the area there. Now it is just, Rahul, mark my words, it is just a matter of time. We will probably be sitting on the outskirts of Lahore. I have absolutely no doubt on my mind. And like I said, it is with a purpose. It is something called effects-based operation, EBO we call it. You can fire all across the LC in all the bases like a headless chicken. We do not do that. We do operations based on a certain aim. We maintain that aim. And we work towards that aim. And to me, it is very, very clear as of now that aim is Lahore. And once Lahore and piece of that particular portion of land is with us, it could be outskirts or the entire Lahore. Let me tell you, he will be on his knees. And probably it will be another General Niazi for him signing, peace accord with us. Or surrender.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Of course, that is probably the aim, and that should be the aim. And India is going to not leave anything unturned this time. Remember, viewers, in the run-up to this, and General Sivach is here and he'll bear me out on this. General Sivach, in the run-up to this, India has been saying that one day POK will be got back. We will get back POK. Now, this is what has been said. Now, look, viewers, early days. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but General Sivach, it's important to take note that a very symbolic shift has taken place tonight. Yes, the Pakistanis have tested unprovoked our patience once again. They've refused to take the off-ramp. But now we have said, okay, you want to play this game? We will come straight into your hearts. One is the cultural capital of Pakistan, the Punjabi heart, the bastion of the Sharif family, of most of the Punjabi elite of the army, the judges, just about anyone who's anyone in Pakistan comes either from Karachi or they come from Lahore. Let's be honest about that. And now we've also tickled in some way Islamabad, which is the heart of their administrative setup. So these are big signals from India. Very big.
Absolutely. See, Rahul, 2-3 issues. First of all, we must understand that the air defense system of both countries are very different. Now, we have proved beyond doubt the S-400 is impregnable. And it is not only a single layer, there are 4 tiers. There are PAD, then the AAD, and then you have basically Akash and then S-400. So it is very difficult for Pakistani drones or missiles to penetrate through our air defense system. But other way around, it is that Pakistan is vulnerable because their H-9 air defense system, which they have received from China, is proved to be totally unsuccessful. And we have managed to neutralize the air defense system of Lahore. So this is the biggest difference which is happening between the two countries. In case they follow this, that the drone versus drones, missile versus missile, we will still able to maintain and manage that these will be intercepted by our air defense system. What about Pakistan? So they are vulnerable. They are vulnerable in Lahore. Their air defense system neutralized. They are vulnerable in Islamabad. And I suppose our next target is Rawalpindi, the general headquarters, because that is the place where GHQ is there. And also, these 3-4 seat power seats which are Lahore, Islamabad, and Rawalpindi, you start hitting
okay,
them.
MOD putting out a statement. I need to just quickly update our viewers. So 9 minutes to 11 o'clock in the evening, MOD puts out a statement, says military stations at Jammu, Pathankot, Udhampur were targeted by Pakistani origin drones and missiles along the IB in Jammu and Kashmir today. The threats were swiftly neutralized using kinetic and non-kinetic capabilities in line with established standard operating procedure. No casualties or material losses were reported. India remains fully prepared to defend its sovereignty and ensure the safety of its people. A big statement coming out of the MOD, sir. Yeah. How do you interpret this very quickly, sir?
So I think it's one of the firstly, it's a very quick response. Generally, it takes time for MOD to come this thing. So therefore, I think the systems are quite live and information is flowing back and forth very, very quickly. And in case they have been able to put out this very, very firmly, it shows that whatever operations the Pakistanis had tried to do for at least at this point of time had been utilized quite well enough. And as it was said very clearly, that is a synergized effort to ensure that whatever targeting was being done has been put down. So all the Air Force bases were attacked have been taken away by the Air Force. Systems were in place and other areas which were being targeted by drones and all have been taken out by the other elements. So I think it's a very great
integrated
effort. Yeah, it's a very good.
Okay, so we're also being told, viewers, that parallelly the Indian government has approached Twitter to block 8,000 accounts. So those are also going to be blocked because disinformation is a major weapon in the hands of somebody who wants to spread all sorts of rumors and disaffection in the public mind. So that is also being taken care of as we speak. So these are big moves. Very big moves. Also, a letter being shared on social media claiming that the Chief of the Army Staff, General V.K. Narayan, has sent a confidential letter regarding military preparedness to the Army officer of the Northern Command, etc., etc., is completely fake. There is no such thing that has happened. So, in fact, General Narayan is not even the COAS. So, yeah. So, all of this is also happening in the backdrop, viewers. All of this, of course, tells us that we are now clearly moving into another phase. So this is Operation Sindoor 3.0, quite clearly. HM has also dialed DGPs of border states to take stock of the situation unfolding in Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Gujarat, Rajasthan. Why
areas, those things have to be managed in case it happens. People start looking at for future that they want to move slightly behind. The third is that to actually synchronize this whole thing, because this
okay, let me just go across to Arunima, who's got more details on this. The HM making calls now. Arunima.
Yes, sir. So the international border is on fire, and therefore the BSF DG has been dialed by the Home Minister to understand from him as to what the situation is. Yes, our air defense system has worked very well, but BSF is on high alert, be it in Jaisalmer in Rajasthan or be it in Kutch area of Gujarat, or Amritsar in Punjab, or it is the Rajouri Poonch sector and all the way down to Jammu. The entire international border has been aflame for the last 2.5-3 hours now. So the civilian population, what is their status right now? There were instructions given to ensure that the civilians in forward areas be evacuated and taken to safe centers. So the Home Minister, we are told, has taken stock after speaking to BSF DG. He has also spoken to CISF DG because CISF is the force in charge of guarding our airports. In most areas, starting with Jammu, the air assets were the targets, and then we saw the air assets in Pathankot and in Udhampur and in Arnia. All across these areas, our air and defense assets were targeted. So since the air assets and the civilian airports in a lot of areas are in close proximity, so the Home Minister has also spoken to CISF about the steps that are being taken. Not just that, the DGPs of the border states, so Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan, Gujarat, amongst others, their DGPs are constantly being spoken to by the Home Minister to try and figure out the situation in their respective areas and what more can be done as far as internal security is concerned.
Okay, NOTAM also has been issued, viewers, across a large number of airports. So Chandigarh, Srinagar, Amritsar, Ludhiana, Bhantar, Kishangarh, Patiala, Shimla, Kangra, Gaggal, Bhatinda, Jaisalmer, and these are pictures coming in from Uri right now. Uri was also the place where a large number of shelling was taking place on the first night, the CFV. Just talk us through this, General Saab. What's going on?
Yeah, so what you can hear is totally the rocket attacks, and this is what you can see. The visual is of firing of direct firing guns, and also a lot of artillery activity. This very clearly you can make out. There is a firing of direct small arms weapon, which is being fired in the line of control.
Okay, right. So this is a localized...
It's a localized effort, and the flashes which you can see is possibly of mortars, and at the very most it may be of artillery, but what I can make out from the now from the visual is about mortars only.
Okay, so about 24 NOTAM has been issued across about 24 airspaces, airports from Leh, Jammu, Mundra, Jamnagar, Hirasar, which is Rajkot, Porbandar, Keshod, Kandla, Bhuj. Bhuj, of course, was in the news. So these are pictures that are coming straight out of Uri, deferred live visuals, and you can see those mortars you're saying. These are
the flat ones which you're seeing is the flat trajectory weapons, which are direct firing weapons, maybe MMGs and HMGs which are firing. That is the sound which is coming off. These are burst fires.
Right.
But otherwise, the flashes which you are seeing are essentially of what do you call? These are rockets being fired.
Rockets being fired. Okay, and the flashes are
basically motors,
motors exploding.
Motors as well, and these are the rockets and missiles which are exploding. They're all direct firing weapons which are happening.
Okay, well, viewers, this is big news coming through. Big news coming through of a potential escalation in this entire effort. We're about 2 minutes to 11 o'clock. We can confirm that both Lahore and Islamabad have received a tap from the Indian military. So this is a big escalation. Forces are on high alert. The Indian forces counter Pakistan firing even at Uri in Jammu and Kashmir. Pictures are coming from Uri also. Jammu, Jaisalmer, Akhnur, Pathankot Air Base all have seen action this evening, but all of it has been thwarted. God's been kind. And of course, the military has been high alert, very professional, and has been able to stop everything that the Pakistanis have thrown at us. General Sivach, your quick assessment of the situation that's unfolding.
You know, one thing is there, Rahul, the situation is fast developing. It was not anticipated that things will happen so very fast. No doubt about it, Pakistan is trying its all arsenal which is there with that. It is trying to now basically send number of drones. It starts also doing firing, active firing, both on the line of control as well on the international border. You see, line of control firing is not very uncommon. It used to be common once upon a time before 2021. And once I commanded a brigade in Machal, I remember that it used to be usual, but not in international border. But now international border has also become very, very active. No, that is one thing. And second thing is that the area completely starting from, you can say from J&K down up till Gujarat, you find the activity taking place everywhere. So therefore, you can't be taking any chance. There's a blackout everywhere. The drones have been seen coming not only in Punjab or J&K, they have been also seen possibly in Rajasthan and also in Gujarat. So it is on high alert. But at the same time, one has to tell to a countryman what we are responding is far more than what Pakistan can, because there is a difference in what they have and what we have. And I don't think they can sustain for too long, because after all, if you have got a drones or you have got a missile, they cannot be endless. There is a quantum which is there available with you. But certainly one thing is there, we are more effective than them. Our air defense system is impregnable. This is a multi-layered. S-400 is one of the best in the world, whereas Pakistan H-9, which they have taken from Chinese, is proved to be totally ineffective. We have neutralized the air defense system in Lahore. We are hitting them in Islamabad, Lahore, and also possibly in Rawalpindi also. So Pakistan is getting more beating, and they will feel the heat. If they want to escalate it on an escalation matrix, so it be, we are prepared for the worst case scenario. But my point is, I don't think Pakistan will able to sustain for too long. That is the take. I don't think they have in their arsenal limitless ammunition, both of missile as well as drones. it has a limit. But certainly as on today, one has to be very careful. Things are fast developing. And that is where it has surprised everyone. The way situation is unfolding today, it looks like that we have to be on a high alert.
Well, viewers, obviously this is a fast developing situation. 11 o'clock, we can tell you a few things. If I were to just quickly bring you up to date with everything that has been happening since about 8:30 this evening. Viewers, the top headline right now is that we can tell you that Indian forces are targeting Lahore and Islamabad. India has hit the heart of Pakistan, Lahore and Islamabad. This is what we can tell you at the top of 11 o'clock in the evening. Massive escalation from the Indian side. We have decided to launch, in a manner of speaking, Operation Sindoor 3.0, because that would what constitutes this kind of an elevation. Also, viewers, since 8:30, there has been a lot of shelling, a lot of activity along the LOC, in areas such as Rajouri, in areas such as Uri, in Pathankot, pretty much a large part of Jammu. Srinagar also, they are saying, has been affected, all the way down to Jaisalmer. We are being told that there has been activity. However, Pakistani projectiles, about 12 of them, and missiles have been shot down by the S-400 air defense system. We also know that there have been no casualties, at least on the Indian side, because everything, drones and every other thing that the Pakistanis have thrown at us have been neutralized. I can't confirm other big news related to losses that the Pakistanis might have suffered, because we cannot at this moment confirm all of that, but it's a lot of talk about the Pakistanis having taken a big hit. So big news that has been developing, General Saab. This constitutes now a different phase in this entire action, doesn't it?
Yeah, so this is, as you started this thing by saying that 2 days we have succeeded in what we wanted to achieve. And I think this one of the minor offenses, I'll say, which has come about, we have again been able to thwart this thing, and those news which we are discussing and we are talking about, if it comes true, it will be a very, very big, again a very major event which will happen. We'll see how it unfolds and how it comes out. But what is looking as of now is something akin to a Star Wars fight which is on. A fight which will be, which will try and avoid boots on ground to cross line, and it will be from ceasefire violations to the duels, from small arms to artillery to missiles, and ranging up to drones and long range missiles. Something which we have seen in other parts of the country happening, and it's likely to continue in the similar manner for some time to come, till the time that threshold is crossed in terms of a major hit which will take place, in which the boots on ground will move. And that will be, for me as a military professional, I am telling you, like everybody will say that the day Pahalgam happened, it was declaration of war, but for me, the day the boots cross ground, that will be the time when a transition from a very low level conflict which is happening today, it will transform into a full-fledged war. And let's hope, if it happens, then it's bad news for Pakistan. Its demise is going to happen. If they are smart, they will avoid this situation to come about, and they will try and de-escalate as far as possible, because India has shown one thing, that from zero escalation, we have got answers for each and every level of escalation which can be taken to the last end, right? So
okay.
we are willing to escalate.
Yes, we are willing to escalate. This is big news. Akash, look, there are various reports that are now coming through, and there is, of course, an Airport Authority of India advisory that has been put out also for passengers travelling to come earlier to the airports, at least 3 hours in advance. But that's not really the reason why we're speaking to you, because we've got confirmation now, and we can break this news report, that an F-16 has been down. Amit Bhatt of News 18 Rajasthan has confirmed that an F-16 has been shot down. Now, very quickly, Akash, can you update us on this?
The report of F-16 is concerned, so I have no confirmation. But yes, you rightly pointed out, our colleague is confirming I'm also learning about one individual, possibly the pilot, who has been apprehended and in fact, has been caught by the locals there. But Indian Air Force will go with the version of Indian Air Force, Rahul. Indian Air Force is just checking, the truth in the whole case, in the entire matter. Whether or not the F-16 has been downed, it will of course, be known to us in some time from now. But definitely, a number of things are happening simultaneously, Rahul, and, operational details are something that we have been asked to, hold for a while. Because as of now, Indian Army is retaliating. We know that how Indian Air Force, the air defense system is very much working, and they have been retaliating too. We know, and in fact, we are learning about several sort of developments that are happening at the line of control, where in Kupwara we are learning about specifically about the artillery fire and in fact the retaliation that is going on in the western, front as well. In Punjab and Rajasthan, we have been learning about several sort of attempts from drone, but all of these attempts have been in fact thwarted. And F-16 is something that is coming from western front only, western border only. So we are waiting for an official confirmation for F-16, not just the plane, the downing of the plane, but also the pilot, because we have been learning that one individual who is possibly the pilot of one F-16 of Pakistan, has been apprehended and has been caught by the, locals there.
Well, the MOD sources now seem to be confirming this, that F-16 downed by the Indian forces and that the pilot has been, in fact, apprehended. We're not going to tell you, viewers, where it is because that's obviously sensitive. We don't want that pilot to be harmed in any way. Sometimes if we give away the destination or the location, Pakistan might want to try and neutralize and lose, and that will make us lose the advantage. So we're not going to give away the area, but General, what do you make of this? A significant change.
Yeah, so there's a one very major impact of this F-16 being downed. It puts the proof out to the Americans that there was a deal which was signed sometime back by the Pakistanis that will not be used against their Western adversary ever. So this one lie is going to be proven absolutely correct if it is true. And the second lie which was shown by your channel today, that the terrorists were being given state honors led by a US designated terrorist. So, these two combined with the tomorrow this IMF conference being held for Pakistan case makes our case very strong to put them into a corner. I think that's very important to take note of. And also with the changing, with the tap on, tap off thing which you're talking of, how will they make tea for their own country? I think the tea movement possibly will come through for us. Not a very good thing to talk as a soldier about a fellow soldier, but I guess I very clearly remember that colonel who was a defense attaché or a lower rung officer in British embassy coming out and waving that photograph of Vinandan and making that very silly, extremist, radical mindset gesture, a very disgusting gesture, which reflects even the selection of one of the best guys to go to represent the country. If it is so damaging, it is a reflection of mindset and how radicalized the military structure of Pakistan Army is.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is a very defining moment in case F-16 has come out.
I mean, this takes the advantage away completely from Pakistan. So, because this becomes really a bargaining chip. It really still our hands. If you remember, when Abhinandan fell into Pakistani hands, basically we had to de-escalate completely the entire focus of the operation, the direction of the war. And I know that various, and Group Captain, you'd probably bear me out on this, that I know that fatalities, casualties, these kind of exigencies are built into game scenarios. So I'm sure the level that we are at, it would take a little bit more for this to really take or have a decisive impact on Pakistan's strategies, but still it will begin to weigh on the strategic the strategic ecosystem in Pakistan when they are thinking of the next step. Also, before you comment on that, just a very quick one, PIB fact check putting out the fact that a Fidaiin attack on an army brigade in Rajouri, Jammu and Kashmir is fake news. So viewers don't fall for that. Yes, Group Captain, go ahead.
I'll just take a lead from what General said about the tea movement and the fellow soldier thing. And it will not be a tea, it will be an Akunuri Kawa. very, very famous kava that we get over there.
Yeah.
And we will probably export it and give it to the boy and look after him very well and send him off if time of the time and the place of our choosing. And as you're putting out a lot of images and videos, and images and videos talk for themselves. Rahul, I know you're a measured anchor who don't want to get ahead of yourself. But I want to, call spade a spade. Maybe today or tomorrow, mark my words, we will be on the outskirts of Lahore. I absolutely have no doubt about it. Being, the planner for so many years in the Air Force, I know how this is panning out.
Okay.
So we are going to be there. And that is my message to my fellow countrymen.
Yes.
Be at it. We are going to get them.
Of course,
they will.
Look, all of us secretly might desire that, but as a professional, I'm not going to sort of underwrite that.
I'm being professional,
Yes.
Rahul. I'm absolutely.
No, that's your
professional.
assessment, and I respect your assessment, sir, and your desire to perhaps even point the Indian establishment in a particular direction. So there's nothing wrong in what you're saying. Anshul is from Jalandhar. Great to see you back, Mr. Sareen. Great to see you back. The news has dramatically turned since you've been off air. One, we are being told that an F-16 pilot has been captured. We're being told that he's out of harm's way. I'm not going to say where exactly this capture has taken place for obvious reasons. We're also being told very, very clearly that India has been able to target both Lahore and Islamabad. So your thoughts on that before I bring in Anshul from Jalandhar and Ishan from Srinagar. Yes. Sushant Sareen.
Rahul, before I answer your question, just a word to what General Pandey was saying. And, I just want to caution all Indian Armed Forces officers. We live in this illusion that the kind of chivalry that the Indian Armed Forces practice, it's a similar kind of thing on the Pakistani side. It is not. They are a bunch of animals. You might meet them during your courses, during your postings, and they might try and act friendly with you because half the time they are ill-equipped to deal with anybody other than from somebody from the subcontinent because they can't relate to them. Their wives are not equipped for it, variety of reasons. So they try and latch on to an Indian for some kind of support. So please, sir, my sincere advice, they are a bunch of retards and animals, and I think we should treat them like that. I don't expect any chivalry from them. Now on Rahul, on the other stuff which you asked, look, frankly speaking, we are right now in the fog of war. I think there is some confirmation coming in that a pilot has been arrested, apprehended. And now, whether it is an F-16 or some other aircraft, I don't think any one of us is in a position to say what it is. But and the geography is also ranging from various places, so the various accounts coming from all over the place. But I suppose there would be some kernel of truth in the fact that somebody like this has been arrested. On the attacks on Lahore and Islamabad, I would wait for official confirmation or something much more solid before I was to say that whether we've actually launched those attacks or not. I would not be surprised if we have, because very clearly at various levels of the government, it has been made extremely clear that if the Pakistanis are going to up the ante, the Indians are not going to back down. We are going to retaliate, and depending on what the Pakistanis have tried to do, our reaction will be similarly, it will be calibrated accordingly and probably much more than what they've anticipated. So I think we are in that phase right now. It's up to the Pakistanis if they want to back off. Now, what are we hearing from the Pakistani? And many of these touts of the Pakistan army, people who edit newspapers out there and also act as stringers for New York Times and others, who are saying, no, actually we have not launched any attack on India. In Jammu and Kashmir, it is a false flag attack. Now these damn duffers, low IQ fellows, for them everything is either a Ra conspiracy or a false flag attack. So I don't expect anything sensible or intelligent to come from these bloody Pakistani lowlifes. Okay? But these journalists are trying to spread, no, we have not done anything. Now, every time their attack fails, they say we haven't done anything because now they know something is coming their way. If their attack had been successful, these bloody Punjabi Muslims would have been, beating their chest with pride. Oh, look, we showed these fellows, right? They are the bunch of cowards who used to have slogans of crush India behind their cars, and when India started moving towards Lahore, all those cars were rushing away to Rawalpindi to save their backsides. So that is what these bloody Pakistanis are, these Punjabi Muslims, then their badak, which they always come up with. We will have some setbacks.
Okay,
right?
shots coming in from Jaisalmer. Look at these pictures. This audio. This is quite a.
Take out the. This is the response which is being to take out the drones which are coming.
Okay.
Or the missiles which are being launched.
Right.
You can see that.
Okay.
Incoming missiles,
incoming drones, or whatever the Pakistanis are throwing at us by the way of offensive capacities, and these are our air defense retaliation.
The ones which came from below are the ones retaliation.
I see.
And you can see they are taking them out. It's quite clearly a masked kind of an attack which is coming on to Jaisalmer. It's a very, very aptly explained.
Okay.
Very good.
Dramatic visuals of the Indian response, viewers, to what is the incoming from Pakistan, clearly. Sushant Sareen, yes, you were talking at length really about the Pakistani posture, but just for a moment indulge us. If it is true that a Pakistani pilot has been captured, doesn't that sort of dramatically shift this entire focus then of the response, the Pakistani strategy, etc.?
It will definitely, deal a big blow to their ego, especially when we have footage of giving them tea, because these lowlives have been trying to insult an armed forces officer from the Indian side for 5 years by saying that, okay, fine, we've got tea ready. So my question is, I wish our tea is also ready, and it's original tea. It's not imported from Kenya or some other place, from some third country. It's our tea which we are going to shove down his bloody throat and take pictures with it and carry out that same thing which they've done. Because I don't believe in acting in a chivalrous way with barbarians. You should treat with them the same way they treat other people. So I am very clear in my mind that, jaise ko taisi. I don't believe that, we should rise above all that the wokes can do. I'm afraid I'm not in that business anymore. But I think it certainly deals, and if it's an F-16, then of course it's a very serious blow to their ego, and it tells you a lot about the kind of air defense systems that are working. But Rahul, I think it's important that we also say to our people that look, if we are entering into this phase, there will be cases where these Pakistanis will launch certain missiles which will come into India, which might escape the air defense systems, and there will be damage and there will be loss in India. And we should, show that we are a bloody resolute nation, that we will not let any setback pull us down. Bloody hell, you send one missile out here, I'll send 10, and I'm going to beat the shit out of you, Bhagat.
Okay, well. Okay, let's very quickly.
The last 40 years, and I refuse to stand for it anymore. Enough is enough. And
Okay, one second. There is a walkthrough from Jaisalmer. Very brave walkthrough by a journalist, Bhavani. Let's hear this.
आप देखिए कि किस तरीके से ये देखिए कि यहाँ जो जिस तरीके से नजर आ रहे हैं यहाँ पर ये जैसलमेर के आसमान में आप देखिए कि किस तरीके से शायद ये ड्रोन हो सकते हैं। आप देखिए कि किस तरीके से क्या ये जैसलमेर में आप देखिए कि किस तरीके से यहाँ पर लगता है शायद ड्रोन है, ये ड्रोन अटैक की कोशिश है, ऐसा लग रहा है। कहीं न कहीं लग रहा है जिस तरीके से धमाके हो रहे हैं यहाँ पर, ये तस्वीरें अपने आप में न्यूज 18 इंडिया के कैमरे से देखिएगा आप किस तरीके से लगातार एक के बाद एक, ये देखिए कि
ये जैसलमेर में शायद लगता है
लगातार
हुआ, ये लगातार फायरिंग हो रही है।
देखिए कि
इधर
ये गन शॉट फायरिंग है। अब देखिए कि
reaction to these visuals.
So there are just two parts which have to be taken note of. One is this issue, which is the sound which is coming out. Essentially, the sound of the flying system which is coming across to hit will not be heard in that manner. But the people who get worried, and the question which you had asked me last time again, is the response which goes out. So there will be a loud noise when you're firing the system. The second noise will come when the system blows up in the air and destroys the coming munition or a drone or a missile system. The second is very clearly from the visual which you can see that the lights are lit up. My message through your channel to everybody is that the times are not very apt for people not to listen to the advisory which is coming from the government. In the night you need to take care, especially if you are around military bases, along places where airports are there, air force bases are there, military installations are there. For the purpose of your own good and also for the good of the military installations which are in a proximity, is important to follow the instructions which are being given by the government by the local government and administration till the time this issue lasts. I just thought I'll give this message.
No, this is very important. But just quickly describe these pictures as captured by our reporter, as well as the other picture that we just saw from Jaisalmer.
You just saw two things happening. You saw red lights which are flashing. They were possibly the swarm drones kind of thing which are coming for hitting the Air Force base, which is in the proximity of Jaisalmer. And the response which you saw, which was emanating from the ground, was the anti-missile system, anti-drone system, which were going up in the air and destroying through proximity fuses. And you saw very clearly, you can now see one of the response coming up in the air on the screen to take out what is an incoming munition to hit the targets.
Okay. Viewers, also, of course, very quickly, the MOD has put out a statement. As I said, military stations at Jammu, Pathankot, Udhampur were targeted by Pakistani origin drones. And, of course, in Jaisalmer, another sector. Now, General Saab, where would the Pakistanis have been targeting Jaisalmer from?
Yeah.
Could you explain it to our... Would it have to be from a sector opposite Jaisalmer on their side of the border, or could it be from somewhere else?
So they will be having drone systems and the munition systems which can be launched quite from the depth, because Jaisalmer itself, if I'm not wrong, is about 50 odd kilometers from the IB, and even if they are launching from about 50 kilometers inside, they will have they got systems which can reach out these distances and try and hit the Jaisalmer airport. The second option is that they could have these systems can also be launched by airplanes, fighter aircraft from the aircrafts which can be flying in the proximity of IB, well within their own sectors. But in case we are listening to this thing of F-16 having been downed, that means they must have come slightly more closer to the international border, and therefore they have been downed. I must also tell you, the moment such a thing happens, the relevance of IB goes off, right? So it's a very tricky time for the Pakistanis when they have crossed and violated the IB like this.
A group captain. Yes, you wanted to make a point. Yeah.
Yeah, quickly. I've served in this area for a long time, Rahul. No rockets or artillery shells can reach Jaisalmer. Jaisalmer is quite deep inside. No, to me, it appears that it is an air-launched versions of some kind of weapon. Like you correctly said, aeroplanes have breached the border and come inside. Or day before, like we were sitting in the morning, all three of you, and I was mentioning about the aeroplane coming from Turkey. It could even be that Bayraktar kind of a drone, which has that kind of range, 100, 200, 300 kilometers of range, and that can be launched from the Raimiar Khan, that area, the north of Jaisalmer area. So these are the two vectors that can reach Jaisalmer. There is the surface-to-surface integrated vector reaching Jaisalmer is an impossibility. They do not possess that much in the number that we are seeing, firstly. Secondly, very important for the viewers to understand, these red lines that you're seeing going across the sky is your defense system. So if there is one target that is coming in, you will see thousands of them going towards that one target. It could well be just one drone that is coming in, and you're trying to take it out using the close-in weapon systems and other RACAC guns, which is placed all across the air bases. So don't get alarmed. That is my point. It could just be one rogue drone which we are trying to take out. Over to you.
Okay, we're hearing all sorts of news now, viewers, of the Indian retaliation across into Pakistan. There has been big news, and I'm not going to put it out there, but it could be that we've made some significant dents in the Pakistani scheme of things. And I want to bring in General Rajinder Singh on this. General, if you're there, if you could just put your mind to the events from 8:30 and the news that we have done a lot of damage. I'm not going to specify what kind of damage on the Pakistani side of the fence. I will confirm that an F-16 has been downed and the pilot is, however, in our custody. That much I can say, but there's a lot more that I'm not in a position to put on air, but I will tell you, viewers, that there has been considerable degradation on the other side of the border. General. I think you're on mute, sir. If you could just unmute yourself. Yeah, there you go. That's right. Thank you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me
Yes,
properly?
I can. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. Ever since Pakistan made the mistake of trying to strike some of our military stations and the Air Force stations, I think they were under the impression that we are going to keep quiet, which did not happen. Our forces were ready. They had already contingency plans which had been made, and they struck them very hard. Now, Pakistan still did not. It seems that they were still not satisfied, and they tried to strike us again tonight, early at night, and this was retaliated straight away by us. And I think it has been a fairly good thing what we have been able to do. What I have been able to understand or get is that we have struck in almost all places where the major formations are. That is like in Sialkot, in Bawalpur, in Lahore, and further down south as well. Pakistan, if it was under the impression that it could launch a foray into our territory and then tell its masses that yes, it has achieved a major victory, I think he was very sadly mistaken. We have our contingencies plans ready. Our diplomats, our external affairs minister has already talked to a large number of world leaders, and I think we also have, to a fairly large degree, a fairly favorable world opinion with us. And we are well within our right not only to defend our integrity, but to take whatever measures that we feel are essential so that Pakistan doesn't have or doesn't ever dare to do the kind of thing which it did while sponsoring the terrorist activities in Paris.
Well, at exactly 11:30,
Rahul
viewers.
Coffee in Lahore.
Yes, okay, 1 second. Just stay on with me. 11:30, viewers, some top 3 or 4 headlines, and then I'm going to go straight across to our reporters. Forces struck Lahore, Rawalpindi, and Islamabad, viewers. This is getting bigger. Now more news is trickling out of the Indian response. We're also being told that an F-16 was down, possibly more craft of Pakistan, other munitions, ADS systems have been degraded. There is a lot of news which I'm not going to put out. I'm going to hold back because I'm waiting for absolute confirmation from at least 3 sources. two sources have told us all attempts by Pakistan to hit India at various different places in Jammu, in Kashmir, in Rajasthan have been thwarted. There is no news of any damage because our S4 systems, our air defense systems have held up remarkably. The MOD has even put out a statement to confirm this. Let's quickly get our reporters into this from Jalandhar. We also have Siddhant from New Delhi, Akash from Srinagar, and also Ishan from Srinagar. Let's just go out to all of them and get a sense. Anshu, let me begin with you first. Jalandhar, in the news this evening, very early on. What's the scene on the ground there?
Well, yes, right when this entire attack was started by Pakistan, at that point in time, there was Jalandhar was one of the centers where several projectiles were launched, and at that point in time, the air defense systems of the Indian Defence Forces actually came to the fore and made sure that not even a single projectile was able to land anywhere in Jalandhar. And now over here, I'll just try and show you in the frame right behind me, a blackout has already been announced, and now people are sleeping absolutely peacefully. Unlike Pakistan, where the common people are actually running from pillar to post to get some sort of a help either from their army or from the local police. But yes, over here, out here in Jalandhar, everything is absolutely peaceful. People are sleeping absolutely peacefully. Blackout has been announced till 4 a.m. tomorrow. These blackouts will be put up as precautionary measures. One thing is very sure, that the entire nation is at this point in time very confident on their armed forces, and that is why we are seeing such peace that is prevailing out here after initial attempts that were made by Pakistan to somewhere or the other hurt Jalandhar by launching projectiles towards Jalandhar. But yes, Defence Forces have actually gone ahead and made sure that each and every projectile that was thrown over here, that was actually thwarted in midair itself, and hence there has been absolutely no loss to life and property till now, especially in this district of Jalandhar.
Well, top government sources telling us that Indian attack in Rawalpindi, Islamabad, Lahore by loitering ammunition and major explosions have been reported. So clearly, this has been an escalation of dramatic proportions. Siddhant also there with us. Akash, if you can update us, some projectiles successfully intercepted mid-air near Jammu airport. Great job by our armed forces. This is being put out by Jammu police. Always with you is the logo. Please avoid live coverage. It serves the objective of adversary. Please follow directions of police and local administration. Akash, quickly update us on all these news developments that are coming through now.
Starting from 8 p.m., we have seen a number of developments, Rahul. It started with Jammu airport, where not just Jammu airport, but several, the areas with the civilian population were targeted. And in fact, we have been learning that all these targets were all these drones and missiles were destroyed by the air defense systems. In fact, the AD guns. Then we heard about the firing at the international border. In fact, the ceasefire violation in Samba, in Mendhar, and in some other areas as well. We heard of several sort of attacks, and in fact, multiple theaters were opened by Pakistan. Where in the western front we have Punjab, in different places in Punjab, then in Rajasthan as well. In fact, till now we are in fact learning that how one jet of Pakistani Air Force, possibly one F-16, we are waiting for the confirmation on that, is downed by the forces there in Rajasthan. Also about one pilot, for which we are waiting for a confirmation from Indian Air Force. Indian Army at this point in time is retaliating. In fact, loitering munition is something that is very much in picture from the beginning of Operation Sindoor. And we have seen that in the morning today also, several locations were hit in Pakistan. And even now, we have been learning about several sort of locations. Of course, we cannot, give out several sort of details because of operational limitations. But then, we are in fact waiting for some sort of confirmation from the armed forces as well. In fact, IDS tweeted that how, there were several sort of attempts on different military infrastructure, and all these attempts have been thwarted. We have been using our MRSAMs, Akash air missiles, and in fact Akash air defense systems, and in fact S-400. Indian Army is also using this system, and Air Force is also using this system. As far as air defense is concerned, so we know the responsibility is with the Indian Air Force. Force. But then when it is about the military infrastructure and the tactical places, so Indian Army is very much capable of dealing with any sort of air threats, and this is what is happening. Akash is working for both Indian Air Force and Indian Army. As of now at the borders, there is no infantry movement, we can confirm that. There is no tank movement, we can confirm that. But yes, Indian Army is retaliating not just to the ceasefire violation that is happening at the ALC and the international border. In fact, we have got confirmation of the ceasefire violation at around 11:30, just 6 minutes back in the Kupwara sector, where Indian Army is retaliating, and Indian international border is peaceful till now. But yes, multiple theaters have been opened, and Pakistan is basically trying to attack India from these theaters. Western borders are impacted and the northern borders are impacted.
Okay, Tejinder Singh is filing reports to suggest that Samba heavy shelling going on from both sides in the Samba sector. So there's more news there. Keri sector of Rajouri district, heavy shelling going on there. As Akash was telling us that there is a large number of theatres that have opened up along the LOC and the IB. Some projectiles successfully intercepted mid-air near Jammu airport. So this has been now confirmed that there has been no damage to Jammu airport. Ishan Vani there with us and also Siddhant. Ishan Vani, give us a quick update really on what's going on.
Well, it's completely dark out in Kashmir and people are a little in a panic, but there's no need to worry. There hasn't been any breach of any sort so far in Srinagar, which was expected to happen, but air defense system is there to protect everyone. But what we have been given to understand is that the line of control is lit right now. There are rockets, there are artillery, there are other kind of equipment that is being used by the Pakistan to target not only the Indian Army post, but there are also certain projectiles and certain rockets which have landed in the civilian population. What we also know so far is that the state of alertness has been increased. The ambulances have been mobilized. The forces are on alert, be it in near the airbase, be it in other parts of Kashmir Valley. The maximum alertness is being seen on the ground. Look, we don't want to give out any operational details, but for now, the schools have been closed till 10th, and the advisories have been issued out to several hospitals, several departments, to ensure that there is readiness among them if case of it further spreads to some areas. But as far as Srinagar is concerned, it's completely dark. But yes, there is no breach, there is no drone, or there is no projectile or a rocket which has been fired towards Srinagar or any defense establishment so far. But there's a state of alertness. But we have been given to understand that Srinagar airport is right now, because it's also a defense airport, it is right now on a state of high alert, and ensured what the forces are ensuring is that they don't let anything come near to this particular location. And other air bases are also on a high alert. We are also seeing blackout in Leh also. So in Ladakh also there is blackout. Remember, there were also drills being carried out in Ladakh as well. So it's all not only Jammu and Kashmir, but also in the Ladakh UT, that there's a state of alertness among the forces, among the administration. And what we have been also told by our sources is that the army is giving a befitting reply, be it in Tangdar, be it in Keran, be it in Uri sector. They are fighting and hitting back at the Pakistani positions located in these areas. It started from Tangdar and then Keran, and now it has also gone towards the Uri side, where multiple visuals are now emerging. Yes. And the fire service, the ambulances have been kept available there to ensure that if in case there is any injuries which are very deadly, so they are taken out from the harm's way as soon as possible. There are families who have already been relocated, and there's a possibility of more families being relocated from these border areas.
Well, that was very comprehensive, Ishan and Akash. Stay on with me. I just want to quickly get some of our opinions of some of our panelists on this very quickly. Tara Katara is there with us. Tara Karta, please give us a quick overview of what you've made of all these inputs that we've been breaking here, the situation as it stands right now at about quarter to 12 or about 20 to 12, 20 to midnight.
Rahul, I can't believe what is happening. I mean, this for us, in my 20 years I've dealt with Pakistan, this is unprecedented. This is not how we gamed it, put it that way. So I'm unable to understand what factor is working here to make them go on the offensive when they know that this escalating ladder is going on, where each statement we've put down, we are saying we will do this much and no more, we will do this much and no more, and an opening is given for them to stand down. They're not taking it. I'm very mystified because I'm wondering what else is at play here. So I'm talking of the actual fog of war. You have to be very careful when you go into a situation where you can't see all the actors. This has never happened before. By all accounts, at least 2 days ago, the Shahbaz Sharif should have been ringing up Washington and saying, please help us stop this war. That has not happened. They have not reached out. The only thing which they have reported is that the NSAs are talking. I don't know if it's true. If that
well, that has been denied. The NSAs, the conversations between the NSAs that was reported by an international channel quoting a Pakistani top minister has been denied by the by Mr. Misri this afternoon at around 5 o'clock. So when he held the press conference, he said no conversation in my mind, my knowledge has taken place. So he's completely denied that. It's clear. It's clear that the General Munir doesn't believe that if he walks away from this, he will survive in office, because you've seen the anger on the streets of Pakistan. General Pandey, he has no choice really, and I want to hear the others also, General Rajinder Singh as well as the group captain, but first to you, sir.
This is something I've said on your channel, that General Munir is in danger.
Exactly.
Either he thinks this or he goes to jail.
So we are not giving him a face saver. We might give Pakistan a face saver, but not him, and that's pretty clear. Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Lahore, look at the theatre of action, viewers. These are three of the most iconic, the only cities that really matter. Karachi is the only other one out of that matrix. But Lahore is the political, is the cultural beating heart of Pakistan. I mean, it is the city that gave birth to the idea of Pakistan. Let's be honest about that. Islamabad is a new creation, it's an administrative capital. Rawalpindi is the military capital of Pakistan, and then of course you have the business capital, so to speak, in a loose term, Karachi. But General Pandey, this is a complete different scenario now. This is a point of inflection.
So as I'll again repeat, the Pak behavior today is controlled by a radical leader, right? A radical leader whose ego is at stake, whose survival is at stake, and in case there's any step down, any visual, visible, even a perception comes out in the mind of the Pakistani population, which in any case is not very happy with Pakistan Army. The Pakistani Army knows their survival is at stake, right? And therefore, this radical leader, in fact, on the day one, when I came on the channel, I talked of Asim Munir and not as a chief of army staff. He is radical and he's going to take his country apart because he doesn't know any other way. If you go through his background, it's very important to know your enemy when you are dealing with a country, the leadership of the country. This person is a topper of his batch. He is madrasa trained. He has joined army during the training time of Ziaul Haq. He is total into a radical system, comes from a family which is of a very different nature. He is not from the elitist environment. His parents have moved from Jalandhar, technically treated outsider at that place. He has survived to reach where he has reached, right? By trying to prove that he is exceptionally good and different from possibly everybody who belonged to originally from Pakistan. And therefore, having reached there, having put IK Imran Khan behind bars, he's a person who needs to survive. Now it comes about resilience, and I think very aptly Brahma had brought about is about political will. Who will stand longer? The more we draw out this, the possibility of Asim Munir being taken out internally starts becoming much more. And the more rapidly we try and wrap up, his stature is going to come up higher.
Okay, just there's an announcement being made at India Gate. Let's just try to get the audio on that. Yes.
हेलो भाई साहब, चलिए चलते रहो, फाइनली अभी खड़े नहीं आएगा, चलिए जैसे भी चलिए। हेलो आ रही है।
Okay, so obviously people are being told to keep order there. I don't think this is any order, this is any directive to sort of clear out of this particular place, but just keep the traffic flowing. no gaping, just traffic management. I just hope that is exactly what we just saw. Very quickly, I want to bring in Sushant Sareen and the group captain here. Sushant Sareen, quick assessment now of what you're making of the present situation.
Look, like I said earlier, right now we don't know exactly what is transpiring.
Yeah.
Where the attacks are taking place from the Indian side, what, if any, has been any damage. There are conflicting reports coming. In fact, these reports are actually confirmed by many sources that there is one pilot arrested in Jaisalmer and another one up north in the Pathankot sector, Aknoor probably. But again, we haven't seen any visuals. We can't really confirm it. Even on the attacks on Lahore, Islamabad, Rawalpindi, not confirmed as yet, because I'll wait till official guys say something. But I think it's very clear the Indian side is going to hit back, definitely. And the Pakistanis seem to be quaking in their feet simply because they are now denying that we have done anything. We have not done anything. These are false flag attacks that the Indians are probably going into Pakistan and then launching attack on themselves and then saying that, you know, the Pakistanis are launching attacks on us. They're that ridiculous, these bloody Pakistanis, right? So, and obviously because they have not been able to make any breakthrough, they are now, I think, bracing themselves for whatever will come from our. Now, the question is, what is the level of retaliation we do? Do we up the ante? Or do we do
so hang on. When you're talking about upping the ante, news coming in that India has dropped a drone near the Sharif family home in Raiwind. This is big news if this is indeed the case. The Sharifs getting the wind up their backside, really. This is a game-changing move symbolically. Put it in perspective for us, Sushant Sareen. You know Pakistan like the back of your hand. This is a game changer, if this is true, of course.
Raiwind is a place which is virtually on the outskirts of Lahore. It's like Shahadra is to Delhi, or Sahibabad is to Delhi. It's like that. It's almost like Muridke, right? It's a little closer, but it's almost like that. And the Sharifs have a big estate out there, palatial houses from ill-gotten wealth, which they have built out there. And the entire family stays out there. Nawaz Sharif stays out there. And if, we are dropping a bomb near their estate, then it clearly is a kind of a signal, okay, boss, all of you guys who have been living in your palaces, if you think all of these places are going to be safe, no longer, everything is in the crosshairs, everything is going to be targeted. So I would imagine that is one of the messages being given. But like I said, so what is the level at which we are going to retaliate? There are various reports. Like I said, Rahul, we can't confirm anything right now. There are some reports that the Navy has attacked Karachi. There are some reports. So all kinds of stuff is coming out. And none of it is confirmed. But I would imagine that if we are going to start firing some missile systems at high-value military targets in Pakistan, then of course that shows that we are scaling it up. We are not backing down. Forget backing down. Forget proportionality. We are now scaling it up. So bring what you can.
Group captain wanted to have chai in Lahore. Group captain, you want to come in on this?
See, I'll tell you, Rahul, and with utmost humility, I say this. I have the advantage of, doing some kind of a crystal gazing because, most part of my life I have done only planning. Planning of such operations of such nature, including Balakot. So with that as the background, I have the, sitting on your show, looking at what is going on to see where I will be tomorrow morning or day after morning having Lahore Chana Chaat or something or in Raiwind, swimming in the swimming pool of Nawaz Sharif's estate. And I believe he has a huge medical center as well. So probably that is where he will be, hopefully. But jokes apart, selection and maintenance of aim, like I've been saying, we have selected an aim, we have maintained that aim, and I think we are going for that aim. And I'll stick my neck out and say this: our aim looks like, and it is achievable aim in short term. Looks like is Lahore. We can do QPQ. Even if we reach outskirts of Lahore, we can do QPQ. And with these pilots on our side, another QPQ of telling them to come down from their high horses and talk peace. That is something can be achieved in a couple of days. So all that has happened while we started this show and while we are going to wrap up this show is going to determine what will have to happen tomorrow, day after, or the day after.
Wow, we're
If all
not
of this
going
is
to
true.
wrap up the show, that's for sure, because the show...
Just one sentence.
Yeah, yeah.
Just one sentence. I'm really wondering where the Pakistani elite, how the Pakistani elite is going to run away from Pakistan, because they've closed their airspace. Normally, they keep their airspace open till all these fellows and their begums and their multitude of children
their
have
white
run away
horse.
from the country. तो अब ये कहाँ जाएंगे बेचारे? इनको तो झेलना पड़ेगा. They have to face the brunt of India.
Well,
do to them.
look, as I said, it is easy right now to, of course, let emotions flow because of the news that is coming in. But obviously, all of this is subject to confirmation. What exactly happened, we'll have to wait for another. As Vikram Misri says, I'll be speaking to you again. That's what he said. So hopefully, we'll be hearing from them. But General, let me bring you in, General Singh. And of course, General Pandey is also here. General Singh, now there is a fair idea of what India is also doing. So we've just had information from 8:30 till about 10:30, quarter to 11 about what the Pakistanis have been doing on Indian soil. But now we're getting inklings of what the Indian response has been and the shape of it. How do you respond to the news that is being filtered through?
Rahul, I think this kind of a response was very much expected. This was expected from one of the most professional air force and the armies of the world. This was expected from one of the finest national leadership that our country has. And I think given these kind of background, there was nothing else that one could have accepted or expected but to see that India will respond firmly, it will respond forcefully, and it would do a thing which would act as a deterrence for future generations of Pakistan. And I think the day is not very far when our friend, this jihadi general of Pakistan, is going to give up. He has to give up because he cannot sustain his army. There is hardly any ammunition which is there with them. Their economy is down in the drain. And given all this, the kind of problems that he has within his country itself, and coupled with it, the pressure which the Indian armed forces are going to bring to bear on him, I think his days are numbered. That is what I feel very, very strongly.
General Pandey, yes.
So I'll just very quickly say one point, sir, that the moment we start calling him jihadi general, there is a certain degree of respectability which goes out to a community which believes in jihad as a very pious thing. I think to call him a radical may be more appropriate, and maybe call him a terrorist
obscurantist, revanchist, somebody who is completely lost in his head because he's a megalomaniac. Okay,
so there is one
just
part.
before
The second part I just want to say is that let's not get ahead of us, because it is not even a fraction of force, kinetic force which has been applied. It is not even a blip, right? When the military machinery starts moving up, that is the time it will be only yet less than a fraction, less than a 1% of movement.
So right now you're saying we're just sending feelers out, and we're telling these Pakistanis that, look, don't think you're sitting in some ivory tower, safe from it all. We can touch you anytime.
But the second thing what is happening is this is a strategic signaling which is happening from either side. That okay, you touch here. It's a gameplay as of now which is happening.
So we've just taken we've taken it to 3.0 basically, Operation Sindoor.
And these are signaling not only to the respective constituencies, but is also happening to the world at large. That you need to
just
come
quickly,
in at some point of
viewers,
time.
before I quickly hand it over to my colleague Zaka, I just want to quickly sum up what we've talked about over the last 3 hours. And it started at 8:30, viewers, with news, Zaka, of strikes on your show along the LOC in Jammu as well as in Kashmir. And then, of course, news built up to tell us that most of the border was hot. we've got news of a potential F-16 being downed. We can't confirm what has happened to the pilot, but we can definitely confirm that an F-16 has been downed. We know that Islamabad, we know that Lahore, and we also know that Rawalpindi have been tickled. We know that ammunitions have been dropped by the residents, the historic residents, the family home of the Sharif family, which sends out a massive signal. And we also know, viewers, that there has been degradation of quite a few capacities across the border in Pakistan. We also know that the Indian ADS, the Indian aerial defense systems, have been impregnable. We haven't had any losses, and this is because the MOD has come out and confirmed that. So, Zaka, this is going to be a long night, but it's going to be an interesting one.
Oh, it certainly is going to be a long night, no doubt about it. Interesting for sure, but it is also a night of growing concern, both here in Delhi as well as in Islamabad. There's been basically drone warfare. That's what you've seen over the last 3 or 4 hours. It started about 8:30 or so in the evening. The first set of drones were spotted over the skies in Jammu, and then slowly over the next hour, couple of hours, it started spreading all across the Western Front, from Jalandhar to Jaisalmer, across Rajasthan, Gujarat, Punjab. Multiple reports of drone swarms being spotted and thwarted by multiple air defense systems. There is the indigenous air defense system which India has developed and built, the Akash, and there is of course the Russian-made S-400 air defense system. So the good news is not one of these drone attacks have resulted in any kind of casualty or fatality up until now. All of it has been thwarted by India's very robust air defense system, from Jaisalmer to Jodhpur all the way up to Jalandhar and Jammu. So the silver lining, as it were, is that all of these swarms of drones have been thwarted very successfully, I might add, by the Indian air defense system, both the indigenous one as well as the S-400, the Russian-made one. In response, India has sent loitering munitions, and it has left damage on the ground, is what we are given to understand, in at least 3 major Pakistani cities: in Lahore, which is the Punjabi heart of Pakistan, in Islamabad, which is the political capital, and in Rawalpindi, which is the military capital. The general headquarters is based in Rawalpindi. In all 3 of these sprawling urban centers, loitering munitions were sent by India. It has landed, some of it has penetrated through Pakistani air defense. It has caused explosions there, and as a result, there is some damage. What form, what nature, what scale of that damage is, we don't know. We don't have assessment of what's happened on the ground, but certainly loud explosions were heard in all 3 cities thanks to these loitering munitions. I want to first bring our viewers up to speed with all our reporters who are at different points across this western border. Ishan Vani is joining us from Srinagar. Anshul is joining us from Jalandhar. Akash will be also joining us from Srinagar, and Siddhant is there here in Delhi. But first, I want to come across to you, Ishan. So have the anti-drone warfare, the anti-drone sort of attacks that were happening, the thwarting through the air defense systems in Srinagar and surrounding areas, has that now come to a conclusion? Also give us an update about what was happening along the line of control. There were reports of heavy artillery shelling all across the LOC over the last few hours. What is the reading and what is the situation there as well?
Well, Zaka, in Jammu, it has started to slowly come down, and certain areas have also now started to get electricity back. It was completely dark there and still dark in Kashmir right at the moment. And what we also know is that there hasn't been any immediate drone interception or any projectile or any artillery being fired towards Srinagar, towards airport or any other location. That we can confirm to you right now, that there hasn't been any direct assault at the moment in Srinagar, because Srinagar airport is also a defense airport, so we can confirm to you that there hasn't been any drone attack at the Srinagar airport, but it's running on full alertness. There is air defense system and batteries are fully charged, and they are ready to deal with any eventuality. There are other bases also which we do not want to disclose, where readiness is complete, and also other defense establishments there is complete dark out, and people are ensuring that the lights are closed and the security is paramount right now. But in the border areas, we are being told by sources who are on the ground, that there is heavy artillery being used to target Indian positions, and some shells have also landed in the residential areas, particularly in those areas which are vulnerable, which have kind of come under ceasefire violation from the Pakistan in the past as well. We have been told that in several areas of Bonyar, Uri, there is massive shelling that is taking place, which they haven't seen even in the previous day, when for the first time Pakistan used their artillery. But the Indian side is also responding befittingly. In Kupwara there were sirens. It's a different side with a frontier district of Kashmir, where also there were sirens used by the defense forces, but there were also artillery being used there, and small exchange also taking place. So the line of control in Kashmir is lit. The areas like Poonch Rajouri is also witnessing ceasefire violation take place. The authorities are trying to ensure that they tell people, do not panic, do not panic buy, stay indoors, keep your curtains down, and do not turn on much light inside your houses. And that's how the situation
just
is.
give me one moment, because we're getting that breaking news. It's flashing across your screens as well. The Saudi foreign minister is likely to visit Islamabad tomorrow. Remember, the deputy foreign minister of Saudi Arabia was in Delhi. He met with Dr. Jaishankar today. So the Saudis are beginning to play a bit of a mediatory role, if you may, in trying to de-escalate the situation. They are, of course, one of the few countries that have leverage, and significant leverage, certainly with Pakistan, and significant leverage here with India as well. Like I said, India's attempt after and during and after Operation Sindoor was not to escalate. The escalation, of course, happened with the Pakistanis deciding to send these swarms of drones. They did this last night, and they're doing this tonight as well. India, of course, effectively responding with its air defense systems. But the question now is, who pulls this situation back from the brink? Back in the Kargil war, it was the Americans, it was the then US President Bill Clinton. This time, Donald Trump taking a very evasive position, or almost both sides kind of a position. He's just saying, we hope it quickly resolves, but not really bringing pressure to bear on Pakistan. The Saudis, what role are they playing? Let me go across to Siddhant, who's joining us with those details. So today, the Deputy Foreign Minister of Saudi is in Delhi. Tomorrow, the Foreign Minister of Saudi is in Islamabad. Are they now beginning to play some kind of a mediatory role to try and de-escalate the situation, Siddhant?
Well, Zaka, that's right. In fact, today, Saudi Deputy Foreign Minister was in the national capital. Perhaps it was a surprise visit. In fact, this visit was not announced by Ministry of External Affairs. And in fact, he met EM S. Jaishankar. Then later, his convoy was spotted outside 7 LKM, that is Prime Minister Modi's residence. And in fact, the chatter is that he in fact met Prime Minister Modi. Perhaps the photo has not been released by the either side. And he's also being seen as an envoy to the Crown Prince. Perhaps the Saudi government has sent him for the mediation purpose. And as you rightly said, that Saudi Arabia certainly has leverage with Pakistan and with India. And in fact, when Pahalgam attack happened, Zaka, at that point in time, Prime Minister Modi was in Jeddah on a state visit, and in a joint statement, very strong worded condemnation came from both the countries as far as Pahalgam attack is concerned. And in fact, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman did extend full support to India at that point in time. So this time around, Zaka, these traditional, West Asian countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, perhaps have come up with very balanced statements. In fact, in their initial statements, they have extended full support to India. In fact, ahead of Operation Sindoor, Prime Minister Modi did speak to the Emir of Qatar. And in fact, after the operation, NSA Dowell briefed NSAs of UK, US, Saudi Arabia, France, and perhaps the other countries. So we could expect, perhaps this is what the chatter is, that the Saudi Deputy Foreign Minister could head to Islamabad right after concluding his India visit. In fact, the chatter also tells me, Zaka, that he was carrying a message for the Indian government, and perhaps he will also be carrying message to the Islamabad. Now, Whose message is that? Is he directly representing the Saudi Arabian government, or perhaps is he on the behalf of some other government? We really don't know. But one thing is for sure, that since Saudi Arabia certainly has leverage with both the countries, perhaps Saudi Arabia can mediate between the two countries.
All right, thanks for that, Siddhant. I also want to get a quick word in from Anshul as well as Akash. Anshul is in Jalandhar, where for the last few hours it was a complete blackout. I believe in other parts of Punjab, from Chandigarh and other parts, lights are getting switched on now. What are you seeing and hearing around you, Anshul?
Well, yes, even at this point in time, I'll ask my video journalist Sumit Jaguri to show you in the visuals over here. There is an absolute blackout that has still been maintained over here, because remember, projectiles were actually launched towards Jalandhar at approximately 8:30 p.m. In the evening, but all these projectiles were actually handled by the air defense systems of our country, and not even a single projectile was able to land anywhere out here in Jalandhar. But as precautionary measure, a district which is very close to the borders, and hence this precautionary measure has been taken, that till 4 a.m. tomorrow morning these blackouts will continue out here in Jalandhar. But the situation is absolutely peaceful over here. There is an absolute sense of calm, absolutely no panic that can be sensed over here in Jalandhar. Definitely this shows the kind of confidence that the people of this country have on their armed forces, and how they will make sure that each and every inch, each and every person, each and every life is protected by our armed forces.
All right, we'll leave it at that. I also want to get a quick word in from Akash. Akash, there's a lot of fake news. There's a lot of, wrong information that's flying around on social media. And I want to reiterate to our viewers that we are sticking to responsible reporting. There's been a lot of fake news that's been doing the rounds over the last few hours. At this time, what we need is calm. What we need is a degree of surety. What we need is a steady hand. What we need to tell our fellow countrymen and women is that, look, these are part of your normal war games. I think it's incredible that despite these swarms of drones across most western border cities and towns, not one has caused any major fatality or casualty. The air defense systems, both indigenous and foreign, are extremely working well. And I think that is important to underline. But Akash, what is the latest? What are top defense sources telling you? Ultimately, I mean, we are climbing up the escalation ladder. The question is, we're going with each passing day, one rung up, one rung up. Where is the off-ramp? What are the negotiations happening right now? Or are we still in the escalatory phase, not talking about any kind of off-ramp just yet?
Right. So, Zaka, first of all, two things that I want to make very clear. Armored vehicle and also the infantry is not being used yet. And, in fact, the sources are very clear that no tank is moving, or no soldier is moving forward, at least till now. Also, army is retaliating. Yes, army is retaliating. We have got several locations. But again, we are waiting for some sort of confirmation, and that's why we are not putting out, in fact, the locations within Pakistan where Indian Army has hit. And in fact, the Indian Armed Forces have hit. Zaka, multiple, places where they tried attacking the military establishment and also the civilian population. We have seen in Punjab, we have seen in Rajasthan, and we have seen here in Jammu and Kashmir as well. In fact, in Srinagar, we have air defense systems on high alert. You rightly pointed out several indigenous as well as foreign systems like S-400 are playing a crucial role. Pakistani army is not only sending drones but is also sending missiles and in fact rockets. We have been told that they have scrambled their jets. They had in fact scrambled their jets, and that's the reason why we are having these reports of one jet in fact downed by Indian Air Force. We have no confirmation on that, Zaka. Every second, Zaka, messages are coming, but then we have to cross-check, confirm each and every message, and that's the reason why we have not been putting out any sort of information. A number of things are happening simultaneously. Indian Armed Forces are reacting, retaliating in this similar manner in which they have received the attack today. At around 8 p.m. this got started from Jammu area where airport and the nearby infrastructure was attacked, and then several locations in Punjab, and then in Rajasthan as well. One more thing, Zaka, ceasefire violation is happening constantly. In Uri, I have got several local contacts, and they are telling me in villages like Chikotia, Salamabad, we have these artillery, fires coming in double and triple intensity of what we saw yesterday and day before yesterday. So, Pakistan is constantly violating ceasefire, and in fact, artillery, heavy shells, in fact, heavy, can we are waiting for some sort of confirmation on the pilot that is reportedly, apprehended, in Rajasthan. But we'll wait for the armed forces to respond officially, or the Ministry of Defence, reliable sources from Ministry of Defence to, confirm, and then we'll, of course, be telling our viewers about it.
All right. Thanks very much to all our reporters. We'll be touching base at the top of every hour or top of every half hour and try and get a sense of what's happening on the ground. But let's try and analyze. It's been 3-4 hours now. It started about 8:30. It's a little past midnight now. It's been going on for the better part of almost 4 hours. What is the strategy here from either side? Let's try and make sense of this. Group Captain retired MJ Vinod is a former fighter pilot. He's joining us. Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow with the Observer Research Foundation. Lieutenant General retired DP Pandey here in our studios. He's former General Officer Commanding of the 15 Corps. And Major Manik Jolly is also a defense expert. And Captain V.N. Jha, defense expert, is also joining us. General Pandey, let me start with you first. I mean, as somebody who commanded the 15 Corps, make sense of this for our viewers, because over the last 4 hours, suddenly, at about 8:30 was my previous show, we started seeing these drones, these flares coming up over Jammu, and then suddenly there were reports of flares happening across Jalandhar, in Pathankot, in Chandigarh, and it went all the way down to Jaisalmer and Jodhpur in Rajasthan. So all along the Western Front, as it were, multiple reports of these drone swarms. What is the big picture here? What is it that Pakistan was trying to do? And of course, India's response to it.
So, there are conflicts or engagements are of level of signaling. I'll just take the bigger picture is that what each side is doing to other is important, and starts from what happened on 22nd April, wherein this Pahalgam incident happened, and thereafter the ball was on our court actually to respond in a manner so that it is also reflective of a very responsible nation, in which those words are very clear that it was zero escalatory when we hit out at the targets at the headquarters of the terrorist headquarters, which we are fully aware. But coming on to the last 4 hours, I can just very quickly wrap up by saying that there is a bouquet of engagement which has been put across, starting from small arms direct firing weapons to missiles, which are again short range direct firing systems, to rockets, which are again very short range. And they have raised up the level of ante to the crossing of drones, missiles, hitting out targets which are slightly into depth. So while we went out to Bahawalpur, the similar attempts to showcase a quid pro quo scenario to hit out at Jaisalmer and deep into our own Punjab, Rajasthan, and of course Jammu and Kashmir area was attempted by Pakistan, which was deflected and destroyed by our very effective, very well integrated, well oiled system. I'm quite proud because one has been practicing, rehearsing and seeing all these things. I used to always have a doubt in my mind that when the time comes, will they be able to respond? But I guess coming in of Akash and also coming in of S-400 has to change the entire paradigm into our advantage, which has ensured that we have been able to take care of our airspace, which was always a very big gap in our system. So that is one part. The second is that the levers continue to remain below that very critical threshold, which will become the point of no return when the boots on the ground cross the borders. So we have to actually now see that where this calculation of the Pakistani, that radical chief is going to take over, and how far is willing to take his country on the downslide manner. Because right now, we as a nation are giving Pakistani as a nation a chance and option to opt out from the de-escalation scenario, right?
Yeah.
It is very clear. Again, I started by saying that it is a signaling not only to Pakistani people but also to the world at large that we as a nation are a responsible nation. We have a leverage to control this thing, and there is a civilian government in place, and therefore we need to manage and articulate our responses
So one
very
interesting
carefully.
thing, compared to previous, let's say, wars and, the situations, the flare-ups, the conflicts that India and Pakistan have had, and General Iyer, I think, is there. General Iyer, this is the first time we're seeing this drone warfare play out at such mass scale. We've seen this in other sort of theaters of conflict. We've seen it definitely in Ukraine. We've seen it to some extent in Gaza as well. This is the reality of modern day warfare, that you're going to have these swarms of drones first being put out before the aircraft and the other rockets and missiles are being put out. And then, of course, as General Pandey here said in our studios, the final step, of course, would be when your tanks and your armored divisions and your men start moving. Are we still at stage 1, maybe stage 1.5 in what looks like a long escalatory battle?
To answer your question, yes. Because the cost of a swarm of drone is a fraction of a cost of a, let's say, aircraft of the 4.5 generation capacities.
Yeah.
Add to it the pilot, which is also involved with it. So when you look at a drone as a weapon, it is much more cost effective than an aircraft. That is point 1. Point 2, a swarm of drone is very difficult to pick up on radars because it gives you a very, very small signature. So if you saw the way Jammu erupted in the morning and you were seeing all those flashes running around, they were our guns firing. We fire a tracer after every 5 or 6 rounds, we fire a tracer along with it to see where our fire is going. It is very difficult to locate and follow a swarm of drone and decimate them. So to that extent, the way our AD has performed today is, I can just say it's marvelous. It was something which was biting me throughout my service life as to whether, we don't have very state-of-the-art ground AD equipment. Let me tell you this, all of our AD is, we call it a little antiquated if you were to say, but they have performed absolutely marvelous, I can say, the way they have been able to, intercept these swarms. That's the second point. The third point I would like to elaborate on something which Devendra just said. And, let's go back to 5th of May. There was a statement made by the DG ISPR in one of his, daily discourse.
Yeah.
He says if India wants to go adventurous, they may start the conflict, but we will, end it at our terms, etc., etc. When you are not the strong person, when you are aware that there's going to be a response, to make such, big statements is something which is going to force you to, think where you're going to off-ramp. To my mind, 7th morning, there was a very, very clear window for Pakistan to off-ramp. Why do I say that? We had achieved everything. We had put out a statement that India doesn't want to escalate any further. And I was in your show when we were repeatedly emphasizing on this point. Somewhere Pakistan had managed to convey to his audience that they had downed 3 Rafales and 2 more aircrafts of ours. They had made statements in their parliament. By and large, if at that time sensible guy was there, and I again agree with General Pandey, because the person at the helm over there is a radical guy. He doesn't realize what implies, taking Pakistan to war.
Yeah.
That was a very clear window, and I think India was very sensible not to comment on this repeated claim of 5, Indian aircrafts being down. We kept quiet, gave him an exit window, and I felt that yesterday evening they will, use that and go out. Possibly we would have been in the end of this scenario right now with both sides, quite happy with what they have achieved, because let me tell you, these 9 hits which we have achieved is something we could never think of. Especially in my 39 years of service, I never could think of, hitting from Bahalpur right up to Kotli.
Yeah.
It is a huge swath that we have engaged and engaged precisely.
Okay,
So,
General, give me a moment. Tejinder is also joining us. He's joining us live from Srinagar. Tajinder, so what's the update across the state? And I specifically also want to know about Jammu because you're from there. It started about 8:30 in the evening today. Are we now approaching a stage where things are beginning to get back to normal? For example, in Jalandhar, Chandigarh, etc., I think the lights are coming back on. But where you are, it seems like the blackout is still on. Very much so.
Yes, sir. Yes, Zaka. I'm in Baramulla right now, and this place is it is under a complete blackout right now, Zaka. I can hear the artillery shells that are being fired from the Pakistan side, though my location is at a safer distance from Uri, where the firing is going on. Pakistan has been violating the ceasefire, and what we have come to know that a civilian, a woman, has been killed in Uri sector because of the continuous ceasefire violation from the Pakistan side. As far as Jammu is concerned, as you mentioned, that in Jammu the electricity has been restored, the blackout is over, and it seems that the attack from the Pakistan side, which has been completely foiled by our defense forces, life is slowly limping back to normalcy in Jammu, though people have been advised to remain cautious, remain indoor, and ensure that no rumors are spread. All the projectiles that were fired from the Pakistan side on the vital military installations in Jammu region were destroyed by our air defense mechanism. So no damage in Jammu, but yes, heavy ceasefire violation is being reported from Rajouri, Poonch, Kathua, Samba, where the Indian Armed Forces, the Border Security Force also is giving a befitting response to Pakistan. As far as the situation on the line of control in Kashmir is concerned, right now heavy firing is going on. The Pakistan side is using artillery shells to target the civilian population in Uri. One woman has been killed, several have been injured, and the people in the line of fire are being evacuated right now. I just had a word with senior officials. They are saying that the LG administration is keeping a thorough eye on all the activities that are happening, and the officers have been advised, rather the police has been advised to provide immediate relief to people who are affected because of this ceasefire violation. Earlier during the day, the Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police, Nalin Prabhat, was in Uri. If you remember, Zaka, in Uri in Kashmir is the most affected area because of the ceasefire violation from the Pakistan side. Several houses have been destroyed by the Pakistani shelling. So right now, the situation, though in Jammu, has returned to normal, but on the line of control, it continues to be tense, and the Indian Armed Forces are giving a befitting response to the Pakistani aggression. Yes, Zaka.
All right, Tejinder, thank you so much, and you take care. You're in Baramulla, where it's not just the threat of drones. There is, of course, the live firing of artillery shells that's happening. So thank you very much for joining us with that live update. Let's try and go back to our guest, if Sushant is still there. Sushant Sareen, you know, again, make sense of the big picture for our viewers. Are we now locked in this escalatory chain where each side is going up one rung, and either it ends, each of those rungs ends either in a stalemate or in escalation dominance? How far up do both sides go?
You can go all the way to a full-fledged war. You know, if nobody is ready to take an off-ramp, and frankly, as of now, let's see, you know, for example, if the Saudis have come, they have equities with both India and Pakistan. Will they be able to exercise those equities? I think from the Indian side, it's very clear. We were never interested in escalating, but if the Pakistanis are going to escalate, then we will hit back. Now, what are the Pakistanis going to say? Now, we are saying that we are fighting a war against terrorists. We have only targeted terrorists. What have the Pakistanis done? They've targeted the Indian armed forces, the Indian military. They've targeted us. So we are going to hit back. Do the Pakistanis get an off-ramp? And will they be forced to take one? And then what happens to their regime? And Zaka, I think this is a critical point. In Pakistan, it becomes a question of regime survival, not just of Asim Munir, but also of his chaprasi, the so-called Prime Minister of Pakistan. The man was brought into office by Asim Munir. He depends on the crutches of Asim Munir. Anybody who replaces Asim Munir will probably give a kick to Shahbaz Sharif. So the heads of both those fellows are linked to each other, right? They're Siamese twins in a sense. They cannot be separated. And if you separate them, they both will die. So it's their survival, and for their survival, they're ready to put Pakistan's future at stake. Now, the question is, can the Saudis, for example, give, and please remember, Asim Munir, because he has served in Saudi Arabia, I believe as a defense attaché, understands Arabic, speaks it well, has some contacts in the Saudi system. He used to think that he is somebody who can do a lot of work with the Saudis because he knows many people out there. Question now is, can the Saudis exercise their influence on Asim Munir and tell him to back off? And they have a lot of leverages, not just the Pakistani diaspora, but they have leverages in terms of the amounts of money they give to the Pakistani.
Correct.
And if they threaten to turn off the tap, Pakistan is in deep trouble. Will the Saudis use those leverages? Again, with India, for example, they will ask us to de-escalate, but I think we are very clear that if the Pakistanis back off, we'll also de-escalate. Otherwise, no, there is no way out. Please also remember, MBS, the gentleman who's come now to both India and Pakistan, does represent MBS. He doesn't represent anybody else.
Of course.
In Saudi Arabia, MBS is the boss, right? And he's a guy who is in many ways a visionary, who's trying to forge a new future for Saudi Arabia, who's not really interested in these kind of wars. And there are some major developmental and other projects that he is envisaging with India. So does he want this whole region to start blowing up? I'm not so sure. Then there is the Americans. But the Americans seem to have taken a hands-off approach, right? They have enormous influence if they want to wield it. For example, just tomorrow, the Pakistani IMF package is coming up for renewal. The Americans can very easily hold that out and say that, look, unless you are backing down, no monies are coming to you, because much of that money you use for building up your military and creating trouble in the region. So there are people who have leverages, but are they going to bring those leverages? And if they don't, then we are in this escalation spiral, and I don't see what the incentive for either side is to back off.
All right.
At this.
Major General Indrabalan, so again, I want to come back as somebody who's an expert on drone technology, and now we are seeing, at least in the India-Pakistan context, the first live televised drone swarming that's happening. Like I said, we've seen this in other theaters of conflict, most recently and most vividly in Ukraine. But is this now yet another rung that's being added to warfare, added to this whole business of the escalatory ladder, as it were, that the first step is now going to be drones? You're either doing it to test enemy air defenses, or you're doing it to try and send out a signal, or of course, as one of our earlier speakers said, it's far cheaper to send out a drone than to send out a manned fighter jet.
Yeah, Zaka, firstly, thank you very much for having me over on CNN News 18. And as a former Kargil war veteran, it's also a privilege to share the platform with General Pandey, who's been a commander in the Kargil war. Now, coming to the drone warfare part, yes, I advise 3 drone companies on developing military technology. And the drones that have been deployed currently, the loitering munitions particularly, are a very versatile weapon and a system that is here to stay. Yes, of course, India's drone industry is still growing. We haven't been able to develop an indigenous industry which is capable of meeting the entire requirement of the armed forces yet, but I think we are strongly going towards that goal. Frankly, the drones that have been deployed currently are capable of delivering munitions of 2 types. One is a ready-made armament or ready-made bomb which can be dropped, or an explosive which can be carried and detonated at its own time. But these are more done as not in a manner that one would like to technologically say we have a superiority, but in terms of what we've been able to deliver with the help of our friendly neighbors who've given us the kind of technology. We are in a position now to demonstrate that Indian drone industry and Indian drone capability is going to create a new form of warfare, especially in the sub-conventional domain that we are talking of in the sector. because as I see it, that the current setup, the way things are, the way things are growing here, it is unlikely that either of the country would want into a full-fledged war scenario. Definitely, India does not want. We have made it very clear to the international community. We have made it very clear to our own, citizens. So we would like to use whatever is at disposal, which can effectively counter Pakistan's retaliatory measures. And in that domain, I think drones fit the bill very well. Because it's not that the drones can only carry ammunition. It can loiter around and do things much better than what a missile can do. Plus, the drones are amenable to artificial intelligence. Where the drones, we also have an advantage is that in terms of our ability to possibly jam the GPS systems that is used by the Pakistanis and all over the world, and the GNSS systems for drone navigations, if you are able to put through our NAVIC systems also in place, then we will have a definitive superiority in drone warfare as well. But even today, Indian drone companies have developed what is called as anti-drone systems, anti-drone jamming systems, which are able to counter drones coming into India. We are also developing killer drones, which are taking drones and killing the other drones in a physical kill mechanism. There is soft kill, there is hard kill, there is technology kill, and there is swooping of drones. All this is possible, and all this is coming up in a big way. Okay. And I think the way the government is going, our drone technology is going to be far superior to what our adversary is going to put up.
All right. I'll get a final word from General Pandey as well before he leaves, and then I'll come to Major Jolly and Captain Jha. So I'm coming back to, I think Sushant made this point earlier about, it's about getting into the mind of Asim Munir. He started it. It started with the comments that he made. A week later, you had Pahalgam, and 2 weeks later, you have Operation Sindoor. And now, this drone swarming that's going on. If you were in his shoes, if you were thinking, what is your priority? Is it regime survival, your own survival, or is it that you want to pull both countries back from the brink of war?
So, very early on when this event happened, and it's called by Smita on her podcast, and that is time I had forecasted one thing, that I hope we don't go on this path of engagement, right? And whatever punishment has to be meted out should be closed at that point of time. But now, having gone on that path, there are a couple of things of off-ramping which you're talking of. I think today it will be an advantage for our country to keep this thing slide on. Do not have a very short-terminated war or conflict. Let's not wind up immediately on this thing, which an opportunity has been handed over by the Pakistanis today for us to punish them in long term. What is happening? Why we can punish is, firstly, if you keep them engaged, their credibility is downsliding very fast.
Okay.
They will have to do something very serious to regain the credibility today. On the Western front, the Balochis are actually pulling on the tails. This is a time we need to urge the Western powers that Baloch is a very plausible answer today to resolve a problem which is called Pakistan. Even the Chinese will be also interested, because everybody is interested in the minerals and resources.
Yeah.
And of course, Balochis are totally different from rest of the Pakistan. So the moment this pull happens on that side, and the FATA, the tribal area pull happens on the other side, the deployment in the binary or tertiary stretch and so-called 2.5 front, which was supposed to be prosecuted against the Indians, this is now coming a life problem for Pakistan. It's come at a very, very inappropriate time for them. Somewhere I think the policy makers, I hope they have thought of it, and they should keep on thinking of it, that now as they have scaled up, they have not taken the off-ramp on the first day and the second day. And today was a possibly very final legitimate day to have off-ramped. The point which should be told through the Saudi minister is that you change that man who was a driver of an entire thing and possibly shame him out and put him in the prison and make him pay for it the way so many other leaders have been made to pay in Pakistan. It will happen or not is a matter of debate.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, instead of closing this in 5-6 days time, 4 days time, we need to keep on expanding this in a slow bleed manner today. What Indra had just brought out we have a capacity of industrial capacity which will be ramped up not only with our help, with the help of so many other people, to build up and support our this thing. And tomorrow, when the Americans allow this IMF loan thing to go through, the Pakistanis should know it has been done for them to buy weapons from them for fight, to continue the fight, right? And if it is denied by the Americans, it will be a statement to tell the Pakistanis to rein their act. It may not rain, but there are very, very important signals which mature nations must give. In case they withhold the IMF loan, it implies they mean serious business to stop another conflict in the region. Otherwise, in case they give this loan, it is actually telling the Pakistanis that, okay, you will fight the last man in the region by us providing a long-term loan and debt. And interestingly, they may not buy the weapon and systems from the Americans.
Correct.
They may still go for the cheaper versions to buy it from the Chinese. So it is all game open now. But the smartest move for us will be to take the maximum out of this advantageous position today. We are on third day on. We are on the strike 3 and we are succeeding quite heavily. We should not let this advantage slide down.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, General Pandey, for joining us. But the other guests will continue to stay with us. But I just want to get a quick recap of what's going on the ground. If I can get back to our reporters, Ishan Vani in Srinagar, Siddhant is in Delhi, Akash in Srinagar, of course, Anshul in Jalandhar. We'll try and get a sense of, there are two sets of things that are happening. One is, of course, the ceasefire violations that are happening along the LC and the IB, essentially the artillery fire that's been going on. And then there is, for the last 4 hours or so, this drone swarm that's been happening all the way from Jammu down up to Jaisalmer. There are unconfirmed reports of a Pakistani Air Force pilot being grounded, being caught, but we are not putting that out unless we get multiple source confirmation on that. What we can confirm for you, though, that one Pakistani Air Force F-16 has been brought down over Jaisalmer, and I think that is important because it's a heavy duty machine. Remember, even in 2019, Abhinandan had actually shot down a Pakistani F-16. Of course, it's a different matter that his MiG-21 Bison was also brought down and he was caught in captivity, and that proved to be a bit of an off-ramp. In this case, the F-16 has gone down. We don't know about the fate of the pilot. There is a lot of media speculation about the pilot being caught. Like I said, we're not putting that out on air unless it's confirmed by multiple sources. But if and when that happens, if and when that happens, that gives India a degree of leverage against Pakistan. It could potentially open up a possible off-ramp, if you will, to try and pull back from this brink. Ishan Vani is joining us from Srinagar. Ishan, what is the latest? What are you hearing more from the ground, both in terms of the ceasefire violations at the LC, as well as, of course, this blackout? Is that blackout now over in Srinagar and other surrounding areas?
Well, not completely. It's still blackout here, and police has advised us to come inside the building, and that's why we are inside now. What we have been given to understand is that there's a massive damage to the civilian infrastructure in Uri due to Pakistan's, again, ceasefire violation. What we also know is that a lady has lost her life in the ceasefire violation, while 3 of them who are injured are being treated at different hospitals in Baramulla. There's state of alertness in the medical staff in the ground establishment to ensure that people are swiftly shifted. There are multiple families who have been displaced due to the ceasefire violation, and possibly because of the renewed ceasefire violation, there's a possibility that more families would get displaced. Now in Tangdar, in Keran, in Uri, there has been continuous ceasefire violation that has been taking place, and particularly the use of artillery is something which is very deadly. We saw one such spot and one such house where artillery had landed roadside and had completely destroyed the entire entire road, the buildings adjacent to it, because the shrapnels go really far and it can even lead to death even if you're staying a little far. So that is how dangerous it is right now in Uri. We are being told that there is massive shelling that is taking place right now in Uri, but in Srinagar, luckily there were no drones which were intercepted. There was no need to intercept any drones, or there were no drones which were sent towards Srinagar. There was a fear of drones being sent towards military establishments, because there are certain extremely sensitive military establishments which are important for the forces on the ground. There was complete dark out and blackout, and completely nothing was visible for long hours. And that's why right now we're being told that the situation is being monitored constantly, and after our hour-to-hour basis, the decision is being made to really what to do. But state of alertness is there. Top officials, we are told, are in their offices or on their toes. Nobody is sleeping in Srinagar tonight, because officials are monitoring the situation continuously.
All right, thanks for that, Ishan. I also want to go across to Major Manik Jolly. Coming back to this whole situation of climbing the escalation ladder, again, there are unconfirmed reports of a lot of changes happening in Pakistan, militarily, politically. Like I said, we are not going to put any of that out until it's double confirmed, maybe triple confirmed. But let's deal with the situation at hand, and that is, let's look at it step by step. You had the Chief of Army Staff in Pakistan making those very egregious, visceral comments about Hindus and Muslims. A week after that, Pahalgam happens, in which 26 Indians are segregated by religion and the men are shot. 2 weeks later, India responds with Operation Sindoor. 9 locations hit, 21 strikes, all terror launchpads. And on the day, right after the operation, India makes it very clear, we don't intend to escalate, no civilians hit, no military installations hit. Why didn't Pakistan take that off-ramp? And now that they haven't, what happens now, Major? Like, you just keep escalating this one after another, one rung after another. Today it's these drones. Tomorrow it could be the fighter jets. And the day after you could be moving your armored and mechanized divisions. And the last day you could be moving your troops. So really, where is the potential here for some slightly more calmer heads to prevail, so that both sides can back off from the brink?
So I tell you what I think of the situation. I think it is the level of escalation that it has reached. Add a couple of airstrikes to it, but that is what it is going to stay at. Because I don't think either of the country is keen to wage a full-scale conventional war. And given the deployments, given the movements, everything, I don't think it is very imminent either. What is happening right now is India gave Pakistan a very fair chance to not ramp this up.
Yeah.
We made it very clear that we have hit the terror camps. We have not hit your civil or military installations. And Pakistan has no reason to attack us. What Pakistan is doing right now, and I can tell you, Pakistan army is not like a band of brothers. It is not like we have here in our army. It is not people supporting each other. It's very good in power games. It's very good in factions. It's very good in breaking down each other. So the guy on top, whosoever has been historically, he has tried to always prove his point by doing something against India. So Asif Munir is trying that, and the limit that he can scale it up to right now is doing some drone attacks, and that also minor ones, because all the missiles they tried were shot down by our air defense setup. So what he is probing, he's gauging the scenario, he's trying to do whatever best he can, because he doesn't want to buy more casualties or buy more fatalities or get more insulted. India definitely has no reason to scale this up. What we are doing is retaliatory. That if you give us one punch, we will give you two back for sure, so that you calm down. This is like trying to tell them with a little pressure and even affection that sit down, you don't need to scale it up. So we are trying our best to actually not scale, even though we have all the reason, because they have not hit any terror caps. They have hit our civilian installations, civilians, military installations. They have hit airport in Jammu. They are giving us all the reasons. And what is critically being missed is that both the countries are right now very keen that the other air force should enter our airspace. So you are kind of, troubling each other enough that we will do something, that you send your planes our way, because both would be very happy to see some fuselage lying, some plane shot down on their territory. So these are probing attacks. This is kind of a irritating thing that Pakistan is trying to do. But for them to have the capability of take this even further, like you said in the beginning, that will it go to armored formations moving or tanks or infantry and all that? That's not going to happen. So this will stay here most probably. And in this, let's call it, for the lack of better word, a limited confrontation. I think it will be shades of this only, missiles, drones, and all that. And this is how it will continue for a few days.
All right, Major, thanks for joining us. I want to go to a piece of breaking news also that's coming in. The State Department, the spokesperson there has put out a big statement after the conversation between Secretary of State Mark Rubio and also Dr. Jaishankar. This is what the Secretary of State has said. A reporter, in fact, asked a question about whether it was America's view, along with what India was saying, that Pakistan is supporting terrorist groups. And the State Department spokesperson said that's the call we've been making for decades. And clearly what happened in Kashmir was awful. Let's play out the bite of that spokesperson, Tammy Bruce, I think, of the US State Department.
Called for the end of any support to terrorist groups. I mean, is it the view of the United States, along with what India says, that Pakistan is supporting terrorist groups?
Well, obviously, in today's world, that's a call that we've been making for decades. It is the dynamic that we've seen in the Middle East disrupting lives, and clearly what happened in Kashmir is awful, and we've all, of course, we send our condolences. The world has rejected the nature of that kind of violence overall, of course, and certainly the President has and continues to. But at this moment in time, there's like one thing that has to stop, which is a back and forth and a continuation of this, and that is what we're focused on right now.
Okay, so the US State Department spokesperson saying, yes, Pakistan is fomenting and funding terror, and we've been saying that for decades. So, this is a hard reality that we have been very acquainted with for the last 3-4 decades here in India. The United States, from the time that Hillary Clinton said, if you have snakes in your backyard, they're going to come and bite you, is something that they've been saying in terms of words. But what does it mean in terms of action? The US, unfortunately, has not taken definitive action or brought pressure to bear on Pakistan that, look, you cannot be doing this. This is an unsustainable model where you export this low-cost terror and then hurt India, which is clearly the bigger country, the bigger economy, has more at stake. Captain V.N. Jha, I want to go back, though, to this escalatory ladder. And the question that, look, the pain point that India has had is that the Pakistanis have made this a pattern. Every few years, send a bunch of these terrorists, attack Indians, make a big thing about it, and then force India into a corner where India has to retaliate. So there is punitive action that India takes. And then for a few years, things are quiet. Again, we go back into this cycle. The pain point for India has been, how do we break this cycle? Do you believe what is happening right now offers an opportunity to India to try and break that pattern, to inflict as much cost on Pakistan that it will break out of this pattern of using these jihadi groups? Or do you think that that's not going to change?
Well, it's a very complex situation. There is hardly any nation in the world which has got the scenario that we have got with Pak. None of the nations are facing this. And I also believe that what is happening in India, in the last 2 days, yesterday evening it had happened, there were some firecrackers over the Indian territories. And today again, it has started at around 8:30 or so. This is not ceasefire violation, Jaka. If Pakistani drones, missiles are reaching to Jaisalmer, Jodhpur, so many of the Air Force bases along the border, it is not the ceasefire. This is not called ceasefire. Nor in the Kashmir Valley or the Jammu Kashmir region. Because it is not the ceasefire violations of the small arm or the heavy arm fire. It is the drone which is violating the airspace, going far beyond the ceasefire lines. So if you don't call this as an offensive, what do you call it? I think this is high time. We call it is that it is an offensive mounted by Pakistan onto the Indian territory. And that is the basis of any further debate or discussions to start with from here. Secondly, right from the time that yesterday the first violations were there, today morning there were briefings by the government of India I thought possibly the military hierarchy, they should have taken a note of what sort of violations are going on last evening itself, and they should have been alarmed with the full force. I compliment the armed forces that they have developed a system of air defense, which is unprecedented. The way it has acted, it has worked today. It is unprecedented. We never imagined that it would be working so fine, so good, and so pinpointedly donning each and every weapon which is coming flying in the air. So there is a compliment to the Indian Armed Forces. But there are lessons to be learned from here. You know, Chaka, we haven't possibly learned the lesson from the 71 war. 71 war, we were busy on the Eastern Front when the Western Front was opened by absolutely surprising attack. And I'm not sure how much we were prepared at that time on the Western Front. We used, since I come from Air Force, my rank, by the way, is group captain, not the captain.
Sorry.
So we have got a system of withstanding such things. We call it PAD, passive air defense, in which we go into a mode where we minimize the damages that could be inflicted by the enemies. So this was the thing, and we were taken by surprise in 1971. We haven't learned that lesson. Even this time, on many channels, we have been getting the prompts, we have been getting the hints that Pakistan has built up a structure wherein they can launch a surprise attack. Well, when we responded a couple of days earlier, that was the time when we should have expected what next. It was good for the government of India to have announced on 23rd itself for the armed forces to be in the readiness. But that readiness should have also been oriented towards aborting or thwarting any such, escalatory attack. Remember, Jaka, in the terms of Air Force, the air assets that could be damaged by the surprise attack, first surprise attack, is much more than what subsequently you can retaliate. So that particular element of surprise or the first attack should have, in my opinion, rested with India, not Pakistan. But anyway, we can't go back in the time. They have.
But all of it has been thwarted, Group Captain. I mean, from whatever I can tell so far, the information that's coming in, other than one explosion in Jalandhar and one explosion in Jaisalmer, where again there are no fatalities, no casualties. Almost everything has been thwarted by the air defense system.
Yes, that's what I complimented the first thing, that the Indian Armed Forces has developed such a system, which has by and large thwarted. But see, this is a time when the informations to all of us may not be coming the way it was coming earlier. So let us not, speculate that nothing has happened or something has happened. Nothing. I'm just trying to tell you that the element of surprise that should have been mounted was India should have taken the initiative, because India is much larger a force. And we knew this is going to happen because the moment jihadis were attacked day first today, we knew that the jihadi element within Pakistan will mount so much of pressure on their armed forces to launch this attack, because they can't take it lying down that they have been hit.
Okay.
And that was the beginning point, what was prompting us to adopt a posture that the moment you see some initiative being taken, surprise them with the type of things what had happened. Remember, this won't have been the initiation by India, because Pakistan had already initiated day first Saturday evening. Day first Saturday evening also, some of our bases were, attempted to be hit. So that was the initiation was already taken by Pakistan. So they were the aggressor in the first place. Fair enough. What has gone past is gone past. And right now, what we must look at it is, India must use all the resources. When all these attacks were happening, like what we had seen over Gaza by Iran, that was the time it was coming to my mind that yes, good, that Iron Dome system, our indigenous so-called Iron Dome system is working so well. But that was a time when we felt that possibly our strategic command, they should have initiated something with which we would have seen a changing scenario in Pakistan. Pakistan should have been put into defensive rather than we falling into defensive.